Welcome everyone to another episode of Money Matters. My name is Mathura. If this is your first time tuning in to Money Matters, welcome to the show. It is very, very nice to have you guys here. Welcome to the family. I hope you join us in all the other episodes that we have in Money Matters as well. And for those of you who are returning, you've already seen a previous Money Matters episode and you liked it and you're back again. Thank you so much for supporting us in this journey. I hope you have been learning many new things with regards to money management and all the things that comes along with it. So today's episode is another one of those fun ones where we have a physical location and it's not just StreamYard and Zoom and all those kind of stuff. So I enjoy this personally. We have an amazing speaker.
Thank you.
Sitting next to me. We have Julia Chin, who leads a compliance team. I think she is an expert in all the things that I'm not an expert in. Right? So if you want to talk about anti-money laundering, you want to talk about fraud and scams, you want to talk about risk management, all the fancy words that I'm sure you don't understand as well, she's an expert at it. So please, today you're going to enlighten us when it comes to this topic.
Thanks for having me. Wow.
Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you regretting coming here?
I don't know whether you are the one regretting or me regretting. I'm going to start lecturing.
No. We will have fun with it. I think what's very exciting is that you're also part of the global coalition to fight financial crime, right?
Yeah, I'm with the APEC, Asia Pacific Secretariat.
Beautiful. And I think that matters a lot, especially recently. Like for me personally, I have seen the cases with regards to financial crime increase tremendously after the pandemic, or during the pandemic. It just hit a peak and it has been continuing ever since. Things are getting so complex that we can't keep up with it anymore.
Yep.
So I think it's a very important topic to talk about, and I'm very grateful that you agreed to speak on the show. So other than the intro that I gave, is there any fun facts that people would not know? If they Google you, they won't be able to find out. Only if you talk to you, we'll be able to find out.
Well, I've got 3 kids, all grown. My eldest is 26. Probably something that people usually say that they're quite surprised.
You look very young. That's why they're surprised.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Wow. 26. 3 kids. So see, we were just talking about moms earlier. How amazing mothers are and how they care for you. And I think this topic is also something a lot of mothers would care about.
Yeah.
Because I think you will have a lot of concerns. So before we go into fraud and scams and financial crime and all this kind of stuff, and making it understandable for my audience who are relatively young, I think I want to dive deep into your story a little bit first. So before we go into like how you got into this, because I don't think this is a typical ambition that people have when they're a kid in school. But before we go into that, like I'll ask you my favorite question to torture my speakers with, which is, what is the biggest money mistake that you have ever made?
It will have to be overspending and relying too much on credit cards. And then you know how the interest starts to snowball, and then you get yourself deeper and deeper into debts.
Yes.
And it's about, having good financial planning and budgeting. I wish I had done that when I was younger.
I think this overspending and credit cards especially related to overspending is an issue that way too many people face. I personally did not have a credit card for the longest time. The moment I run a show called Money Matters, so you'd think I have it under control. But the moment I got the credit card, the game changed. And I was like, wow, I am facing the same issues that other people were facing, and I used to think, why can't they manage it? So how did you come out of it? Like what worked for you to be able to have a organized plan?
The thing is to not have one. To not have credit cards, because there is this temptation to pay just the minimum payment, and then the interest will start snowballing.
Yes.
And then lo and behold, you get into debts, right? So the best thing to do is to cut them all up and then just use debit card. Because I think in the past, before the advent of a debit card, it was the credit card first. It's when you would it is about convenience. So that convenience is an excuse. And now that we have a debit card that you can use, for online payment, for online purchases and all, you don't need a credit card anymore. And the debit card will control your spending.
That's true. That's true. I think the reasons that we use were more relevant last time. Now that's even more convenient payment methods in a way.
Yeah, and you have all these QR code payment. We will talk about that. and you know, all these convenient way of paying, do it now and all that, right? So, I mean, in this is Malaysian context, but in other parts of the world, you also have all these e-wallets and fintechs coming into play. So, you don't really need to have credit cards if it's just for convenience.
Yep. Okay. So, guys, avoid it if you don't need it.
Yeah. Try not to take loans if you can, especially credit cards.
Okay. So I'm going to go into your background, right? Because like I said, all these complex names. This is not a typical path that would, even a teenager. I don't think any teenager is sitting there saying like, I'm going to be a compliance officer. I don't think they even know the word at times.
Yeah, actually, even my son was like, what exactly do you do? And this is not something that, you know, when I wake up in the morning, hey, I want to do compliance. Then, nor would anybody wake up in the morning and say, I want to do banking. Nor accounting.
Not really.
I think generally in the, now there are a lot more choices, but during my time, you either be an accountant, a lawyer, an engineer, or a doctor. That's
perfect Asian child.
The perfect Asian child, that's right. So I did accounting like you, and then somehow or other ended up in banking and then in risk management, and then over time I think it was just like a journey from risk management, credit risk management became operational risk management, then we look into the fraud and scam, then went into compliance, which is I don't want to touch that topic because it's just too deep.
Yes.
But let's talk about what the concerns are when it comes to why compliance officers are needed.
Since you already asked that question, let's start there, right? Because like I think for a layman who is not interacting with these banks and all of that, we don't even hear these words, and sometimes we go like for example, I was just sharing. If we do get scammed and something goes wrong, and it's happening too often nowadays, and then the first thing we do is like, what, they're not doing their jobs, what is going on, like why can't they help us out in this scenario and all of that, without really understanding, because like even I genuinely don't know what goes on in those financial institutions and all of that. How are they addressing it? I actually don't know. So what does your work entail in a very brief manner? Like I said, if you go down, it's very deep.
So compliance actually has two parts. One is about complying with the laws and regulations that are out there to protect consumers.
Yep.
Then the other part, which is the sexier one, I'll call it, is to fight financial crime. And this is where when I open my eyes in the morning, it's probably something that I would say, hey, you know, I'm going to be out there trying to make a difference. So that's the why of compliance in short.
So the laws and regulation is Clark Kent, and then the financial crime fighting one is Superman.
Oh yeah, that's a very good way to put it.
Okay. So we will talk more about the Superman stuff today, not so much about Clark Kent. It's a bit too boring.
That's brilliant.
So it is happening a lot more. Why is it happening a lot more? What changed so much during the pandemic that suddenly this? I mean, I think it was gradually increasing, but I've personally felt like we were keeping up with things. But now I feel like it has become too much and too complex and too everything. So what has happened that is kind of causing the risk with regards to finances to go up so high?
Yeah, I think from an Asia-Pacific context, given that I'm with the Asia-Pacific Global Coalition to Fight Financial Crime, GCFFC for short, is that Asia-Pacific is in a very unique place where you see both types of victims. One is the scam victims, as in losing the money. You might actually have heard about the human trafficking part of it and scam compounds, and these are the people who got scammed into or get kidnapped and put into the scam compound, and for all you know, the person who's trying to scam you is actually a victim, him or herself.
They are being forced to do it as well by somebody else.
Asia Pacific is I think is where the challenges lie, because you have pockets of people who are also COVID put quite a strain on a lot of people's financials.
Yep.
So I think one is to caution now that we are online and we are on air, and to say that, look, if there is some job offer that comes to you that sounds too good to be true, chances are they are. I think now a lot of people are already aware of people who got decided to leave their homes to go for a more lucrative job outside of the country because there is no job here, or basically in the home, and so they went overseas, and then they get met with people, and then their passports got confiscated, and then they were kidnapped, and then they were taken to another place. So that's where and then they put into the scam compound, and then they are forced to scam other people.
Yep.
So first is to never answer any job ads, especially on social media. There are too many of them, and I think COVID brought along with it the greater awareness of online, the use of online.
Yeah.
And again, it's a gift and a curse. One is a gift because it becomes where a lot more people get access to education, training, like what you are doing with the sentence.
Yep.
On the flip side of it, a lot more people are interacting online, and that's where the scam compounds are able to make use or exploit this vulnerability here. And that's on the job scam. And then on the other side, before that, October is actually the Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And what I think I would say this is that I think every day should be a Security Awareness Day. It's not a month, but the month is when we focus a lot on doing this.
Creating the awareness.
Yeah, creating awareness, but it has to be something that we have to continuously doing it. And that's where I thank you for having me on the show, because this is a great opportunity for me to also speak about it and start to create awareness.
Yeah.
Especially with the younger generation. So
before we like you said, we are going from job one and to the other one, right? One obstacle I feel that most of us have to take this seriously is that we all think it won't happen to us.
Precisely.
Like even me, like it sounds so far away, like there's no way I'm gonna take a job and go to another country, but it high chances it can happen to me as well.
Yeah.
So like what helps us to kind of like stop putting that as a block? Because if you keep letting it be there as a block, I think you won't take it seriously enough. You won't learn and educate yourself enough, and that is very dangerous. So what needs to be done, or like what was your perspective that kind of shifted it from like, this is serious, this can happen to me?
I think that job scam aside, because that is a scam.
Yes.
After all, what happened was I will just tell a story about a customer of ours. So this is a really educated guy, professional, and he told us this, that in normal days he would be really, really aware of scam, but because that particular instance was when he was expecting a parcel, he was expecting a delivery, he received an SMS with a link from SingPost. By the way, I'm based in Singapore. So
she came all the way down just for this.
So he received a link with from an SMS from SingPost saying that he needed to pay a certain amount, so that he would be able to claim the parcel. And so this is something that it will take us off guard, because I am expecting a parcel, and this is actually from SingPost. And then he just clicked it, and the moment he clicked it, he realized that, oops, I made a mistake. And thankfully, this was on his debit card.
Okay.
And it's an e-wallet.
Okay.
He didn't have too much money in there.
Yeah. So it's still okay.
It's still controlled, because that's all the money that he had to lose, and he lost a few $100s.
Okay.
Which was actually sitting in the e-wallet. So that's why I say that, now with the fintechs and with the e-wallet, this is probably a good way for us to protect our spending, as well as to limit the losses from scams as well. So Yeah, so it's just about it's not going to happen to me. That's not true. It can happen to anyone the moment we let our guards down. And as for the job scam, I think it's quite common. It's also because you are so frustrated looking for a job, and then when someone reaches out to you, I get that all the time.
Yep.
And don't now the thing is that you don't know who actually has your number.
Yep.
You may think that some of the e-commerce sites and all that, they sold our personal information. It may not even be the case. It may be that their systems got hacked, they were not aware of it. The data got put onto the dark web to be sold. So the dark web is another thing that is quite interesting, but we're not going to touch today. So, it could actually be that. And then I get a lot of people sending me messages, WhatsApp, calling me, offering me opportunity. And sometimes they even say, hey, I'm coming, I am from this very renowned headhunter. Can I send you the JD, and all that. So when you see this kind of thing, you would like, oh, yes, I have an opportunity, a job opportunity. And this is where the moment when someone is vulnerable, we can actually fall for it.
Yep. I think that's what it is, right? Like when we are vulnerable, and even the case of the earlier example you gave, when you are in the moment of stress or rush, you aren't really paying attention to every small detail, and it's really small details.
It is.
It's from SingPost. It doesn't even click. Your mind has already made the connection and made the click before you registered what you have done.
Yep.
So I guess we just need to slowly train ourselves to be aware and be more calm with all the scenarios we are in.
So in Malaysia, you probably have you get messages from Lembaga Hasil, HDN.
I get calls from them weekly.
Or you might get a message from JPJ saying that you have a saman to pay, right? So and then you be like, oh, if I don't drive, it's okay.
Yeah.
But if I drive, I'll be like, panic. And how many of us in Malaysia doesn't drive?
That's a very good question.
So it's those kind of things that all they need is, it might sometimes sound like, I'm only losing $100. But, I think it's something that we need to get out there as well, that we need to report. I know it's going to flood the police, but I hope that people will talk more about it. You may lose the $100, but imagine if all they need to do is just spam 1 million calls, spam 1 million numbers, right? And if just 1% of them come back and each of them lose $100, it's very lucrative.
It is.
So these are the small things that actually would spur the bad guys on. Maybe we shouldn't talk too much into that because there might be bad guys listening as well.
Sorry, bad guy. I don't think Money Matters is so famous that you guys are watching. But if you are, leave us be.
Leave us be.
So let's go into that, right? Like all these scams and all that. I think one of it you're saying is the being recruited into the scam thing itself, but now it's just being the general victim of things. There's a range of it, and there's so much happening.
Yep.
So what do we need to be aware of?
One thing is, this is something that was quite common in Singapore, and I believe it could be across the world as well. Something called APK. It generally attacks only Android phones. Given that I'm not selling Apple, nor do I own one because it's too expensive. But just to be aware, is that you might get some people might get links, especially when it is say from social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and saying that you have all these good deals.
Yep.
And then they say, hey, you have got this good deal, durian for 20 ringgit for 2 kilo of Mao San Wang, right? And so, hey, it's a good deal. Then they say, hey, and you will contact the person and say, I'm interested. And then they will send you a link and say, download this app. When you download this app, you are able to do the delivery, sign up online, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
So normally when you do that, it's actually sending you to a malware. So when you download it, what happens is that that app is going to take control of your phone. And that's when it takes control of your phone is when it will take control of all your banking apps and everything as well. So that's how bad it is. So, and I think
And this is just one app, and with that app, they've gained access to everything that you have.
they control your phone. You don't even have control over your phone anymore.
Wow.
I should. There are a lot of education around this happening at the moment. So I think it's worthwhile, checking out some of them, and just to be aware that this can happen. And so, caution: if someone asks you to download an app from a link, never do that. And if you want to download any app, make sure that you go to the authorized app store, like your Google Store or your iOS and all that, or your Apple Store, because anything that is outside of it would potentially expose you. In fact, it was yesterday's news that there was a fake WhatsApp desktop something, where the moment when you download that onto your desktop, it takes control. That you scan your QR code from your phone mobile.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right? This is
I'm like, what is my WhatsApp desktop?
yeah. So that's where the moment you scan the QR code and it has access to your phone mobile WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And and what it does is that it doesn't take control, but it's going to take all your personal contacts in there, and then it starts. This is where it starts to propagate. So just be aware of all these links that are unknown to you. Do not download anything, because it might actually expose you. The good thing is with the banks, a lot of the banks are possibly happening in Malaysia as well, because in Singapore, a few of the local banks plus even international banks are starting to have this feature where the moment they sense that there is a unknown app or unauthorized app sitting in your phone, they will block access to your banking app.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that this is one of the things that is being done to prevent losses because of APK. Because APK is so we don't know, right?
Yes.
You could be actually in the middle of something and it doesn't cross your mind.
Yep.
And suddenly your phone got taken over.
Yep.
So that's I think that if there's one thing that I want people to take away today is to never download any app unless from authorized app store.
Interesting. I had a friend who also, I think she downloaded an app for cleaners, you can hire cleaners or something. And then and I thought it was just one person, but I heard this story from three people who have experienced the same thing. It was just the download of the app. Next thing you know, they are losing, the whole bank account was wiped. So, and it's not the 100 ringgit like you would have kept in an e-wallet. It's much more higher.
Yeah. Especially when they control your banking apps.
Yep.
And so this is where I feel that even if you think that you've just lost $100, is to make sure that you also share it, let people know, because to create more awareness is about spreading awareness, protecting the people that we love, especially our elderly.
Yep.
So that is something that I have a lot of concern for, especially when they are alone at home and all that. So it's something to watch out.
Yep. I think if you are someone who is aware of these things a bit more, it's important to share with your family and keep them informed. Recently, one of the things that I was facing is that I'm on Telegram, because Telegram, I think, it's kind of the Malaysian students network in a way. And in Telegram, it's even more ridiculous because you keep getting added into groups, and they are investment groups and all this kind of stuff. And the moment you enter, the first picture you'll see is a stack of cash of them bragging about how you can make this amount of money.
Yeah.
So I'm aware that is ridiculous, it's not possible or something like that, and I know to shut myself off from it. But most people would be very tempted by it, especially if they are in a very desperate situation.
Yep.
Is that also a form of scam, or is that more on the whole other scheme of?
There's something else that in fact I wanted to talk about today as well. I'm not really, I haven't been in touch with the Malaysian news, but in Singapore, there were a lot of cases of money mules being arrested and charged in court. And money mules are basically the people that are being used to launder money. And normally it happens to social media. Telegram is very common, is where some people might actually have seen a big splash post saying, if you give me your ID, as in your my card details, and open an account, this is how much money you get.
Yep.
Right. So this is actually for them to make use of your account, your bank account, so that they can move money. So it can go up to as high as a few $1,000s, I understand. I don't know. Because to a bad guy, right, this money is illegal to begin with, and so they can't use it. So even if they can spend 25% of it, it's just cost of goods sold.
Yeah.
So and then I just pay you, say 1,000 ringgit.
Yep.
Let me use your bank account.
Yep.
So I actually, because of your bank account, with a few more, I can actually, just launder a few 100,000 there.
Yep.
So I make good of the money, and I take the money out, and then that's it, right? So, and then the person who becomes a money mule is the one who will be charged, because you have been actually been an accomplice in fraud and scam.
Yep.
So very common, and something to be aware of is if somebody offers you money to use your ID details or your bank account, please do not do that, because you're actually helping the bad guys to get their money, make good their money. And the easier it is for them to make good the money, the more scams and fraud there will be.
Yeah, I think the money mule thing is, it's like it can happen so casually now that I think about it. Because like I'm sure if some family member came and said like, hey, I'll put some money later, you take out and give me, you wouldn't think twice. Right? You just do it like, oh yeah, can, no, here's my bank card.
So then, I mean, the family member could have been recruited, right? And they may not even be aware that it is an illegal thing to do. And I mean, if I tell you, hey, let me have your account number, I'm going to transfer 50,000 to you, and end of the month, I'm going to you keep the 5,000, I'll take out 45,000.
Who's going to say no?
I'm not going to say no. So, but just be aware when that happens is to start asking, why are you using my account? So ask why, and really too good to be true lah.
Too good to be true.
So that's the thing that is important, is actually, money mules are basically the lifeline for any fraud and scam money laundering. So be aware that you might actually be one if you're not careful. And it is a crime anywhere in the world. And those guys might be already enjoying their millions, and you are there merengkok di penjara.
Yeah. You will be the one caught, and you will be the one suffering. They will be fine.
Yeah.
So our audience today have some questions for you.
Ooh. Yeah, we have live audience today.
Yeah, we have some live audience today so one of the audience literally says, I'm very paranoid right now, which is what I'm feeling too. I'm like, oh my God, I'm thinking like 10,000 times about everything that I'm doing. But one of the questions brought up is, this seems to be a very important topic, cybersecurity and all of that. Should it be taught in schools? Which I think is the obvious question. Yes.
It is.
Yes, it should be.
Is.
But like, how do you approach it with teenagers? Because like, again, if we go into schools going like, don't do this, I can guarantee that's what they're going to be doing. So how do we, or what are your thoughts on how we can approach this in a way that students would be interested to learn it?
I think perhaps gamify it. I don't know. I think that's a very challenging question which I don't have answer to. But engaging with the Ministry of Education is probably a good way to start, which I'm also working with some friends to do that in
That's
Singapore.
amazing.
Yeah, because we feel that we have to start it first of all, especially with parents, we are a lot of us are sandwich generation. I have my kids, and I have to worry about myself, and I have got to worry about my mom.
Yep.
So the thing is also to start with a parents group. There's another thing that, in fact, for Malaysia, it could be something also very, very important to teach the parents. It's about the abuse or the exploitation of online or social media for. It's a big topic right now. It's an online sexual exploitation of children through social media. So I think we have got to start with educating the parents, bringing awareness to the parents about the dangers of it, and then also to slowly get into the conversation with the children as well. We will be as young as primary school. It's not something that we can just battle overnight, but we have got to bring awareness to it over time. But definitely something to be taught in school.
I think now gadgets and devices are something even 1-year-olds are beginning to hold. So.
Now the gadgets are probably what I call my nannies, right?
Yeah, they are. Oh my God, they are.
YouTube is the nanny.
Yes.
Hey, I'm doing something. You just go and watch YouTube.
Yes. So it is something we need to raise awareness on, and like you said, it's a long-term process. And as they grow up, I think as they get exposed, because I'm sure it will change as they are growing up as well. So just keeping updated to the real scenarios that is taking place.
And just is something that is, while the banks, financial institutions, law enforcement are working on it, I think it's also about educating the public. And again, thank you for having me, because I think this is a really great start to us working together to create more awareness, educate the public, and reach out to the schools as well to bring this topic. It is as important, if not more important, than financial literacy.
Wow. Okay, I'll highlight it more in Money Matters moving forward. Another question that they had, which is a genuine question that I have as well. You brought up the whole WhatsApp web, and you can download this, and next thing they have access to it. How do we even know what we can download and what we can't download? Like one of the good things you suggested is like go to the proper platforms to download. But in desktop, I think that opens up the void to a whole new level.
The thing that I saw in the news yesterday was they say that make sure you download from the official WhatsApp web channel. Okay. So find out exactly the source, verify the source before you do the downloading of anything at all. And say somebody sends you something, by the way, okay, this is a real by the way. It's like, sometimes you receive messages from friends, or especially on Messenger, right?
Yes.
And they say, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And if it's somebody you haven't heard for like a long time, okay, you better not believe it. And if you happen to have the person's other number, call the person and say, hey, did you send me a message on Messenger? That kind of, you need to do the verification before you do anything. That's, I wish there is a simpler way to do it, but it's just having to be aware and to constantly verify your source.
Verify your source. Very good. I think one of the, I know some people, there's many forms of scams in any industry you go, there is. So I think one of the things that I've learned to do is always search whatever you are looking to verify, and then add the word easy to scam. Because if there are many people will actually go and report this, but when we search just the name, you may not get the answers to the question that you want. So like one time I was trying to verify whether something is a scam, and I went and Googled, but I just Googled their name. So whatever came up in the first few pages was whatever they wanted me to see. All the legit looking pages and whatnot. I think the scammy stuff, or the one that reveals the truth, only comes at like page 6 of Google, so you don't even see it. But after I realized it's a scam, and then I went and Googled again, but this time I said, is this a scam? I had like thousands of results showing why it was a scam. So I was like, okay, so sometimes I just have to put the word scam there to see whether people have reported
You need
it.
to do a search. we call it search string in our profession. So
Okay.
you need to know the search strings to put in so that you can get it. And the other thing is that there are now a lot of apps out there. Some of I'm okay. I'm not sure if they are commercial. I do know of a few vendors who actually have created something, and in fact, it was a few months ago when I participated in a Bank Negara hackathon on this topic, and we built a prototype on my team. I'm not a tech guy person, so we built a prototype on, to just input the URL, the link in there, and then it will be able to tell you, give a risk rating whether or not this is actually a scam. And we have even built a page where you sometimes have a screenshot. You have WhatsApp messages that come in, and then you just you do the screenshot, load it in, because it has this OCR, the character recognition, and so it's able to read it and highlight to you whether this is potentially a scam. Because at the back engine, they are already having all this algorithm running to be able to assess whether any particular wording and all that could be a scam. It's not going to tell you it's a scam, but it can tell you to be cautious. So there will be some of these solutions out there. Just look for it. And if I do come across any good ones, I'll let you know as well, so that you can share with the community.
We'll do another episode on Money Matters about that.
Yeah, because I think that, when you see, before you make that decision, right, stop, think, and then act on it, or do a search, use the app. In Singapore, the Singapore government has actually got this app that we install in our phone as well, where all these messages that come in, it will actually alert us that it's a potential scam.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah, so I'm sure that it's something that it will be coming here too. And this is the minimum that we can do. And for ourselves, stop and check.
Think and check and verify. I like that because I think it goes back to just general money management thinking in a way. You need to stop many times why people overspend, why people make any mistake.
Impulsive, right?
Impulsive stuff is because you don't stop and think, and you don't check and don't confirm with whether it makes sense with your budget, with your goals. So it's the same principle in a way.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, cyber safety is possibly one of the financial literacy element as well, because this is about protecting your money, protecting your assets. So I think it's a huge part of it. It's not to say that it's more important or what, as I mentioned earlier, but it's actually it's actually part of it. It complements, and if you are more aware, then you're able to protect your money and your assets.
So to kind of wrap up our session today, this can be a topic we can talk about for days. So we'll probably do another episode in a few months down the road. But to kind of wrap up, I would like to go back to your story in a way. Why do you choose to be Superman? And why does this matter so much to you?
When you think about, with great powers come responsibility, that's Spidey, is that, there are a lot of people who do not have the kind of education or exposure that we have, right? And this is where I will call the power. And think about the people that are vulnerable. And so it's about, waking up every day knowing that you are in a place to make the world a better place.
Very nicely said.
Isn't that what, all the superheroes are saying that. And all of us here can be superheroes.
So you're Spider-Man? Or? Let's end it with that. I was going to ask, what's your favorite money principle? Now boring. Who's your favorite superhero? That's our last question for today.
Can't think of any. I think all of them have their
something good about them.
They they are also vulnerable in their own way. So all superheroes will also have their vulnerability. Bruce Wayne, Clark Kent, Superman, with their kryptonite, all of us have that. So I'll say that, yeah, we can all be, all of us are.
I think my favorite superhero is Julia Chin.
Oh, that is so sweet. When I think that.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you
for
so
taking your
much.
time to come and share about this. I really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll do another episode on this because there's going to be so much more new developments. And yeah, any last message to our viewers as we end our session?
I can only say, stop, think before you spend, and before you click any sites.
Stop and think. There should be like a t-shirt.
Yeah, let's do that.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in for Money Matters. I had a lot of fun today. It was such a great episode.
Thank you.
Stay tuned with the community. Follow our channel so that you can watch more amazing episodes of Money Matters in the future ones. See you guys.